to another episode of Coach's Corner brought to you by Fats Cafe. I'm your host, Katelyn Grisillo, and joining us today from the cross-country team is Coach Kara. Thank you for joining us today, Coach.
You're very welcome.
So congratulations on your second place finish at the Aiken Invitational.
Thank you.
Very impressive. What were your thoughts overall on your team's performance?
Well, I was so worried right before the race that we wouldn't actually be able to hold the race because we kept looking at the forecast and it was calling for a lot of rain and even had a flash flood warning for Aiken County. And we just weren't sure that it was a good idea for the teams to travel up here, if they would be safe getting home, or if, the runners would be able to, have a good course with footing and all those kinds of things. So I was talking with the athletic director and we were checking the weather. I talked with the other coaches and we ended up moving the races up a little bit, just a half an hour to try to get the races in before the heavy rain was really going to come in.
Right.
And so that proved to be a good course of action. Yes, and it was still raining, the couple days before, and the course was really wet, but we put out some hay so that it wouldn't be muddy in some spots, and just tried to do the best we could in terms of getting the course ready for everybody, and then ultimately running. And I think despite all the weather, people ran some fast times and had a very competitive and good race.
Good. That's all you can ask for.
That's all you can ask for.
Okay, now coming up next, you'll have the Marion Invitational this Friday. What are your thoughts on your opponents? Who are they, first of all?
First of all, Marion, the host, they have men's and women's programs, and so we'll be racing against them. And they're really our number one opponent since they are in our conference, and we've actually run against them twice already this season. So it will be good for my team to run against opponents that they're familiar with, especially if they may have run close to one of those runners. If they can match up early in the race and try to get in front of those girls again, we can certainly have a good finish overall. I also really like their course, it being a very flat and fast 5K that'll be good to prep us for the conference. He's invited some other teams that are pretty close to them. Coker College is also in our region, so we'll be running against them. And then Fayetteville State and Methodist are both junior colleges that'll be attending. So that'll be some good competition, but not opponents that we're necessarily worried about in terms of preparing for conference.
Right. Okay. Now I know one race at a time, but looking ahead, you have the PVC Tournament coming up, which obviously is the grand finale.
That's right.
What would you say are your goals for individuals on your team and also just collectively as a team?
Great question. Well, first of all, we've been preparing for conference pretty much throughout the season in terms of workouts, getting ready for the 6K. As some of our races are 6 kilometer and some are 5K, but the conference championship and the regional championship are both 6 kilometer races. So some of our workouts are just designed to prepare them for that, get used to that distance and running times that are appropriate for that. And so, even our workout yesterday was specifically designed to get them ready for the 6K. And so even though we're running a 5K this Friday, we're really trying to think about, getting ready for the 6K. And in terms of individual times, the fact that we ran at this course at North Georgia Gainesville campus earlier in the season for their invitational will help us to prepare for the conference race. Every course is different in terms of where they might have hills or downhills or turns and different types of terrain. It's so different that even running 100 5Ks might not prepare you for a specific course of a 5K or a 6K. And so it was so important for them to see that course and race on it and learn, where they really need to push themselves and where they need to kind of recover and then get ready for the finish and all kinds of stuff like that. So I feel that we're going to be able to improve individually on our times. That's a trend that I've seen almost every year that I've been coaching here, is that our training is really hard, getting ready at the beginning of the season, and then we kind of ease back. It's called peaking. We kind of let them recover, and then they're in their peak racing condition so that they are able to run their fastest times at the end of the season. And I'm definitely hoping, that's right, I'm really hoping that all of them will be able to run personal records for these last 2 races, especially since they can actually see how they did on the course earlier in the season. They'll run it again, and sometimes I've seen a minute or even more of an improvement from the beginning of the season to later in the season. I'm hoping we'll see that again.
Right.
And then lastly, we're really hoping that we'll have a better team finish than we have in years past. We just have such a competitive conference. Everyone is working hard and having really good times and that kind of thing. And so we really need all of our top 5 runners to really pack together and get a good team score. And we're hoping to place maybe 10th or so if we can. And that would be an improvement from last year's team finish.
Good. Well, we wish you the best of luck, Coach, and I'm sure your team will perform to the best of its abilities.
I surely hope so.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That wraps up another edition of Coach's Corner, brought to you by Fats Cafe with Coach Kara. I'm your host, Katelyn Grisillo. Thank you for watching.